The Republic of Cameroon. Mr. Minister, before we proceed to talk more about the restructuring of the industrial sector, you said something and you insisted on it, you emphasized on it, that 2026 is the end of sachet whiskey to production, distribution, commercialization in Cameroon. No extension of the deadline. Tell us more about that.
The position of the Minister of Mines were making it nationally clear that we had in an interministerial committee agreed that there will be no extension of the deadline for production of whiskey in plastic sachets. And we gave that consideration knowing that people had delved into this industry, invested a lot, and we warned them that they must stop their stocks. So the time has come, and we believe that the funeral of whiskey in sachets is to be conducted on the 31st of December 2026. Come 2027, we don't want to talk about that topic anymore. And that is the position of the Minister of Industry, in charge of industry. We cannot, it's not a good product, it's a Cameroon innovation, and we don't want it to continue.
Right, the sanctions.
The sanctions that we give to companies are very laid down by law. If you operate illegally without an authorization, we'll be writing to all these companies. There are hundreds of them. We'll write to them. For whiskey, we simply are going to break down and stop all those structures. There will be zero tolerance for producing whiskey in sachet because it's harmful to the health of our children. It's harmful to the health of everybody who thinks it's affordable. But the health risk, what this country is going to spend in health bills because of what Cameroonians are consuming, is not worth the trouble of producing it.
Mr. Minister, take us into the restructuring proper, the restructuring of the country's industrial sector.
Yes, the restructuring is very simple. We have put, we used to have the authorization and exploitation certificate at once, but today we have distinguished it. You first have an authorization to implant a company. Then terms of reference will be given to you how that company operates, which we inspect and see that the right technology, the right conditions, and all that we have agreed are respected. When you finish building the company, we will give you now another authorization to exploit or to start producing. That is a major innovation. And we have also counseled, we had hundreds of consulting companies which are called bureau d'études, with cabinets which have to analyze and advise us on industry. We have found that many of them were fake and they were not qualified. They didn't have the right experience, they didn't have the right equipment, and we have, in Yaoundé for example, there were hundreds of those companies. When we called them to come and identify themselves, they did not, and we have streamed it down to just 17. In Douala, we had hundreds. When we called for people to present themselves, only 80 came. By the time we finished, we'll trim down to less than 20. So I think that again is about industrial safety. We are making sure that those who have to present themselves as consulting firms for industrial practice are qualified. So that is another revolution. Again, when you look at the iron sector, from today Cameroon is producing iron ore. Most of the iron you see in the market where they make iron rods and all the things you see is scrap metal that is picked everywhere. And when you pick it, you can pick substances that are explosive. So when you put it at high temperature of about 1,800 degrees, they explode. And we saw what happened in West Africa. People die. We saw Acero, people die. So we are saying that very soon we will not allow scrap metal to be the main source of producing what we see, but that we'll use our iron ore and produce, because industry reaches iron ore from 30% to 60%. And then industry starts from there. That's mining is 30 to 60%. Sometimes it's reached naturally like Balam, but If not, it is enriched by a process like we are seeing in the Mamel, the Kribi, and in Grand Zambi. At that stage, industry mining stops. From 60, we make pellets, iron pellets, which are 100% iron. So we go through a siderurgical process to produce pellets. These pellets will be available for all these iron ore, these iron rod producing companies in Douala to buy pellets in Cameroon to avoid industrial accidents. So
the stepping up local transformation of our iron ore.
Yes, because we must, the law says we should transform about 15% of our iron ore. So we want to make sure that, and then we are also working to make economic indices. That is the indices of industrialization. Energy, access to finance by industrial concerns, infrastructure generally, and specific infrastructure to the industrial sector, which is things like industrial zones, industrial parks. For your information, in the whole of Cameroon, there is only the Douala industrial zone that is fully equipped to operate, and the one in Bamenda. But we have gone out with UNIDO, United Nations Industrialization Development Organization, to raise, we want to raise about 1,000 billion through UNIDO to build industrial parks in the whole nation, industrial zones in the whole nation, where industry will be developed. It's a very attractive thing that makes many people to come to a country and build industries where facilities are developed. So that industry will be at its right place. Just like whiskey should not be in plastic bottle, it should be in its right place, which is a glass bottle. So one, that industry should be constrained to industrial zones and industrial parks, and for that, you saw me the other day with Maxi. We are working with the United Nations organ in charge of industrialization to raise something over 1,000 billion in order to build industry, so that industry now will be localized. You can come to this country and you say, want to do cement. We say no. Douala already has so many cement companies. You are going to develop this cement company in Konsamba, where there's postal land. You will develop it in Limbe, where there's postal land. Or you will develop it in the east, so that the people there can have cement, and cement prices will fall because they will not be transported. So when energy is available, cement prices will fall, because that is the main component that makes our cement. And then we are also improving technology to see that we will not more allow the standard cement companies to function in this country, because we'll be using clay-based technology to substitute clinker, which costs us a lot of money to import. So these are all changes that are going to improve our indexing on the industrialization scale, and they are very fundamental changes which will give a new dimension to industry in Cameroon.
Another aspect which you highlighted during your conversation with officials of the different companies, particularly the cement factory that you visited in the Dibamba, was the benefit that should go to the local communities, the communities where those companies are established.
We have developed, first of all, in the mining sector, like quarries. For your information, there is one document that governs quarries in the whole country, one cahier de charge, one terms of reference, which gives at least 1% of the operating capital to the council. Now, if you have Dibamba, for example, you have 9 quarries, I mean, that council should be self-sufficient in financing its projects. So we are making sure that all this information will be available. And in the same way, we'll develop terms of reference for industry. These are the number of jobs. This company is going to produce 500 jobs. Therefore, the local people should see to it that those quotas are respected. These are the number of jobs. We say children from that particular place should have a certain quota. The rest, other Cameroonians. And then the foreign participation should be restricted to sometimes less than 10% of those employed. So once that type of document is available, we give it to all the elite. We give it to the administration to enforce it. It's their right to see that the industry.
Traditional leaders also.
Yes, traditional leaders. To see, but if you sell your rights, government is not omnipresent. We want to educate people to make sure that all companies operating in their area, they have a document which they can say, this is what you are supposed to do. This one. If those companies do not comply, they should come to us and we'll close the company. So that our economic activity becomes beneficial to us. And that's where we believe that this revolution will make us value industry. First of all, let me tell you, developed countries and undeveloped countries. What is the basis? It's based on industrialization. The developed countries are the most industrialized. The developing countries are those who sell their materials in raw form. If you produce and transform, you're going to create jobs, you're going to create money, you're going to create wealth, and you jump from the zone of developed country to a developing country, or a developed country to a developing country.
We hope that happens with Cameroon by 2035, according to the vision of the leaders.
We're working on it, and that's why the things we're doing, whether it's in the mining sector or the industrial sector, are fundamental. They are revolutionary. They are things that we have ignored since independence. We want to change the landscape of the way things are done in our country, so that we are able to follow. People should not just come to this country, set up businesses, and this country is benefiting nothing from it. Because can you imagine a Cameroonian going to another country to set a business and people? Because our culture does not permit us to have self-vigilance. You ask me the question, how could this happen? But can somebody go to England, the United States, or even in China, a foreigner set up a company, and the people there sit and are looking and saying, government ought to come and stop this? When we see abnormality, we ought to report it to government. It's our joint responsibility as it's a civil duty, and that's how other nations function. We don't have to set up surveillance equipment to detect. People should report illegality, and government will act on it. But we have to find illegality through a lot of sources, through informal sources, through many ways, and it's not easy to do that. But it's a civil duty for Cameroonians to question people and ask why this activity is in their area. If I'm a mayor, I see an activity in my area, where are your papers? Why are you doing this? But we can chase Cameroonians. Why are you building this house? And we mark X on it. Why should we not ask, this thing is operating here? Show me your papers. The mayor has the right to do it. The sous-prefect has the right to do it. So we're making a clarion call for people to become more exemplary in the execution of their civil duties.
And where they are not received, they send the information up to you, because there's also a problem of the people going to some of those companies to ask information about what they are doing if they have authorization and they are not received. The doors are closed, and they only be afraid to open when the minister comes.
I don't think so.
And some even escape.
If the mayor, we are making it clear, if the mayor of a council area, the sous-prefect, goes to a place and say, I want to, if he has problems with that, he should inform the ministry in charge. He should inform our delegate. Our delegate must have access to the industry by right, because he has to do inspections. If a company refuses inspections, they will pay a fine. So don't go there. Go through our delegate and get the requisite thing. We should work in collaboration, because if everybody knocks a company there every day, and it will be abused. So we think that there's a procedure. Go through our delegation, and if you don't find it, you can inform the minister. That is how other countries operate. We have a service that will receive complaints. We receive people every time. So we are ready.
Mr. Minister, tell us about what you're doing about the industrial cartography and the importance of having that established.
It's simply mapping out the distribution of industries in our country. When we finish, we'll be able to tell you that 80% of the industries of this country are found in Douala. We shouldn't be surprised that Douala has a population of almost 6 million people, and most economic activity, the port, the airport, many things are here. It's a centrally located place for material, raw material from the western part of the country, from many parts. It serves many other countries. So we'll be able to say, for each municipality, for each administrative unit, how many companies, how many industries are there, and we'll do an industrial inventory. We say, what are you producing? Where do you get your raw material from? That is going to activate the whole sector, and we'll know what this lacks. Where we might be importing some things which are possible to have in Cameroon. So there again, the importance is that if we already know that Douala has 7 cement factories, if you come to Cameroon to do a cement company, we'll say you cannot do it in Douala. It's called localization of industry, where the state will impose on you that you have to put this industry here. We'll give you special incentives. You go and put that industry in Bamenda, you go and put that industry in Kuseri, so that the whole country should develop at the same time. So that is very important. It's a statistic. And a country, secondly, that gives data to all those who are collecting taxes. That gives data to the welfare of our workers in those industries. At the end of the day, how many people does industry take in Cameroon? So it's a very important exercise. It's like a kind of census. A country must know how many inhabitants it has. A country must know how many people live in those subdivisions in order to allocate resources for those people. We need to know where our industries are located in order that we plan better, in order that our sources of raw material, in order that our sources of transformation are better managed for the profit of those industries. But more so, that the country gets the best as fallout from industrial.
During your stay in Douala, you also inaugurated a new petroleum company, and this is coming at a time when the petroleum reserves of Cameroon are dropping. And you also talked about the reclassification of filling stations. Edify us on those two aspects.
Baker Hughes is a very well-known American company operating in more than 120 countries of the world, and is a very great strategic partner in the oil industry of the world. The fact that they've decided, you saw the state-of-the-art equipment and all that it is, it shows that our extractive industry is very well appreciated worldwide. And this, as you rightly said, our petroleum reserves are declining, and we need to start a new exploration agenda. And the SNH has just given out blocks to companies, and these are the people who do the exploration, who will do the production, and they align in all chains of the petroleum sector. Therefore, it's a very good sign. And what is more important is that Baker Hughes has not only put that structure for Cameroon, but it's a hub for the whole Central Africa. And it's going to serve Chad, it's going to serve other places, and that shows the confidence that Cameroon is still pulling in terms of its strategic nature, nation, as its potential, as its geographical location, and many things we put. So we believe that today is a very important day, and that already people like Dax, Perenco, and all the other companies are going to see their projects benefit from the expertise of this strategic partner.
This is coming at a time when the petroleum reserves of Cameroon are dropping.
And
do we have hopes that it's going to come?
Yes, because we've given out blocks, and even those who had blocks are still reinvestigating those blocks. But in the petroleum sector, that work is not going to be done by DAX. All the exploration, drilling, and everything, plus even the production, will be done by Baker Hughes. That's how the petroleum sector is structured. So we believe that with this new impetus, we are working to revitalize our petroleum reserves.
No, about the reclassification of filling stations.
Talking about reclassification of filling stations, yes, we have two categories of industries. Those who are put in the second-class establishment, where the risk is lower, and those who are in first-class classification, where the risk is higher. So for some time we have put petroleum stations as such in the second category, which we are revising because these sectors deal with things. A petroleum station can burn the whole of Douala. So they are very, very sensitive projects where they ought not to be classified in the second category. So we are going to redo that and make sure that all petroleum stations, and not only that, we are going to restudy all industries and see that those with higher risk, if they were classified in other zones, should be put in the right place.
All right, Mr. Minister, we're wrapping up. I wanted to look at the camera right in front of you and respond to Cameroonians who are expressing concerns, doubts. Some of them are even skeptical about the industrial development of their country, globally speaking, and even about the mineral sector. Some are asking a lot of questions about gold and so on, gold and other minerals of the country. I wanted to address a message to them, to tell them, to respond to their concerns. But before that, we'll take interviews of the week right now, and we'll be back in a moment.
must pay for it. This requirement applies to all public service users, including public administration, regional and local authorities, public and private companies, and households. Measures are already being considered to ensure public entities pay their electricity bill regularly and to prevent unpaid bills from accumulating. At the same time, we need to improve the quality of public services by modernizing the distribution network, replacing outdated equipment, improving customer service, and increasing investment in electricity infrastructures.
90% of the world volume of trade, it's through the sea. Anybody having a phone, using fuel, wearing a dress, almost everything we are using, behind that is a seafarer hidden in the storm, in the high sea, who ensures the security and safety of its transportation. That's why the theme this year was carrying world trade and carrying the risk. Because in all that transaction, there's a high risk. Storms, living far away from your family, and then our zone, particularly in the world today, is one of a high risky zone because of piracy. That vessels too, they kidnap crews, they ask for ransom. You can see the degree of risk. Then the challenges too in the ECAS SMAC zone, the seafarers are not yet really protected. Like in our country, let me take our example. The seafarers do not have a status.
And the seafarers in Cameroon in particular are also facing this problem of poor payment, non-respect of international standards.
Yeah, it emanates. We diagnosed these problems 2 years ago while we were holding the first Maritime Labour Convention workshop in Sawan Hotel. And we came out there with 14 resolutions for the Maritime Administration and the seafarers' status in terms of advantages, privileges, benefits, and standard payment. There are quite a good number of conventions that we have to ratify to enable our seafarers to be paid at the same level like the Philippines, the Indians, and the rest. It all depends on our political will and on our administration. And then it is important to know that our maritime administration has a serious problem. If it is not resolved, we will be turning around. Even if we ratify the necessary instrument, our maritime administration has a structural problem. It is not empowered. It needs to be elevated to a general directorate, like the customs.
Another ship has been intercepted by French authorities, purportedly flying the Cameroonian flag. What is happening with the flag of Cameroon as far as the maritime industry is concerned? There seems to be a serious problem with what can be qualified as trafficking of the Cameroonian maritime flag.
The minister has always tried to defend our flag, but you cannot keep on defending the undefendable, the Minister of Transport, because we simply realize that they don't want to work in collaboration and in synergy to ensure. Why is it reoccurring? In 2020, we had the yellow card from the European Economic Community. And by 2022, we had the red card, showing that most industrial fishing vessels, people come and register it here with our flag, and they go and fish in the exclusive zone of different people. They were always arrested. We noticed that in Cameroon, our maritime administration do not have independent inspectors, flag inspector, and controllers, and they don't want it.
The Minister of Communication, rather government spokesperson, came out and said that the previous vessel that was identified as flying the flag of Cameroon had nothing, was nowhere to be found in the registry, in the maritime registry of Cameroon. So there was no connection between Cameroon and the vessel.
It is, they are in their role, task, duty, and responsibility. They have to defend their flag and their country. But the reality is there. Nobody can fly the Cameroon flagship without an accomplice. It seems the system has failed. And people come and register vessels overnight.
All right, tell us what you were discussing about the blue economy, the promotion of the blue economy, because this is another aspect of the last International Day of Seafarers.
Yes. Thank you once more, Senior Journalist Babila Jonathan. The African Blue Economy Roundtable. During our research, we realized that women are a driving force behind the maritime industry. If you look at from local fishing, industrial fishing, the gas and oil sector, passenger sector, the women are there, but they are not seen. That is why the African Blue Economy Roundtable decided this year to request for nomination of the women that have been given, putting in a lot for the promotion of female gender in the maritime industry. And in our country, we nominated Maître Sophie Njoufa de Chamini.
All right, you're welcome back. Mr. Minister, Cameroonians want to hear you. Those Cameroonians who are skeptical, who are having doubts, who are not sure about anything that we are seeing here, who are just looking and saying, okay, they're speaking, the government is speaking. We want to see concrete results on the ground, impact on our lives.
We started 5 mining projects. They are in execution. We are exporting iron ore already at Grand Zambie. Sinus Steel will start exporting iron ore. I just presented to you the wagons and locomotives. There is 5 locomotives that have arrived. For the bauxite in Minimata was a slogan since independence, taught in primary schools. We have made all those things to happen. We have clinker being produced in Bitsa, transforming limestone into clinker. We have a reformation of the gold sector. We have translated about 110 companies into law courts in the East. We have put up a program to boost and make sure that gold production is transparent, and we have a net result to give, and we have explained why the losses are there. So I don't see where the skepticism should be. We are cleaning up industry because we have lived with certain practices. It takes a revolution to uproot those practices, and that's what we're doing. I think we ought to be encouraged. I think skepticism is not going to solve the problem. If I say that bauxite is going to start, and you see that it has started, give me the benefit of doubt that we have moved from point 0 to point X. That is positive. But if I say that iron ore is going to start and it doesn't start, you have a right to say, you said this will start. We have proof for everything we're saying. And I think that we ought to be encouraged, because for the first time, government is saying things and they are being seen and they are being done. It is when all these things will happen that the windfall will change the lives of people. If mining is only said, we have so much, without it being exploited, the lives of people will not change. So we are putting things into perspective, and I think people ought to judge us and say, you said this, has it happened? But I think you have been to the field yourself. You have seen all the projects moving on. Here we have come, we have shut the companies. We have already many companies which have complied to the minimal production that we have set. So I think that we're on a good track. And I think skepticism ought to be based on the rationale of questioning. And the questioners will give you the proofs.
And about gold, is the country benefiting?
The gold that is produced in Cameroon is artisanal gold, is the informal sector. It's a problem of every country that is in that. Cameroon has taken special measures to make sure that that is given a clear transparency by saying that for us to authorize that type of mining, which we call semi-mechanized mining, you must produce a minimum of 5 tons. Many companies have aligned. We will be moving to almost 50 companies already. And I think that is a net result. You speak, what is the result? That is a revolution even in Africa, because it's a sector where nobody can manage, because it is an informal sector. Everybody gets up in the morning, starts doing his own thing. Then we come inside there to apply legality and make sure that it's moving. But the real essence is that we are developing industrial gold mines, almost 4 of them. And that is, you have never heard that there's differences about gold exported and this in South Africa or in Canada or in Australia, because there is industrial mining. So we are also moving the country towards industrial mining, because artisanal sector is only a bonus, because the state must find a way to beat the people to the game. So we are transitioning the country. Right now we have put in place the development of 4 industrial mines, and many more will come over. We have cancelled more than 60 exploration licenses which were dormant, in order to give space for those who are more expedient in developing these mines. We have taken we have documented illegality, and we have translated them into court of law. From Monday, many people will start answering to court of law, and many people they are going to pay fines in billions of francs CFA. So I think there has been a laissez-faire, but we have decided to restructure and make this sector, mining industry, on which every economy in the world is seen, to be major contributors, major of the gross domestic product of our country.
Mr. Minister, thank you for making out time to have this very important conversation with us.
It's my pleasure, and we'll always continue to inform on different platforms about this sector that is so badly understood. And we thank you for being a partner in disseminating this information.
Thank you very much. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us. That's it for today. God bless Cameroon. Goodbye.